My name is Jay, and I am 91 years old. They call me the villain, my own children. After a lifetime of saying yes to everything, I finally said no, and it shattered my family. Let me tell you what happened. It started when I was young. I married Robert in 1955. He was a good man, an engineer. I became a homemaker. That was my job. Then we had David and Linda. My life became one long yes. Yes to being PTA president. Yes to hosting every holiday. Yes to caring for Robert's sick mother for 7 long years. I said yes so much the word meant nothing. It was just a sound I made to keep everyone happy. You see, the cost was me. I had nothing that was just mine. No hobbies, no real opinions. Robert would ask, "What do you want to do, Ellie?" And my mind would go blank. My want was to help their wants. I was the engine in the basement. As long as I said yes, the family machine ran smooth. I built science projects. I planned huge weddings. I was the glue. Then Robert died 5 years ago in his sleep. The grief was huge, but the family machine didn't stop. It just changed its request. David asked if I'd sell the house. He needed money for his business. Linda suggested, so sweetly, that I move to an assisted living place near her. They weren't being mean. They were just used to the engine saying yes. I missed Robert, but I also saw the truth. Without him, I was just a thing to be managed. The big plan came at my birthday dinner, 75th, at a restaurant. All of them were there. After cake, David cleared his throat. "Mom, we've been talking. The house is too big. We found a nice condo for you. 1 floor. Safe." Linda jumped in. "And we put your name on the list for Maple Grove Senior Living. It has a wait list, but once the house sells," they had it all figured out. They'd even picked a realtor. They smiled. It was a loving intervention. For my whole life, my mouth would have said yes, but sitting there, I felt a little spark, a tiny piece of me still there. I heard myself say, "I'll think about it." The table got so quiet, you could hear the ice melting in the water glasses. That think about it started a war, a quiet one. The phone rang every day. "Have you thought it over, Mom? We're so worried about you in that big old house." They were worried, I believe that, but they were also frustrated. I wasn't following the script. So I actually did think. Did I want to leave my garden, my library where I know every shelf, the home where I still feel Robert sometimes? The answer in my bones was no, but saying it out loud felt huge. I practiced in the bathroom mirror. No. It sounded like a stranger's word. When David called again, his voice was tight. I said it. "No, I'm not selling. I'm not moving." He was silent so long I checked the phone. Then he said, "What do you mean, no? This is for your own good, Mom." My hands were shaking. I told him my own good was my choice. I talked about my independence, my memories, my routines. He didn't hear any of it. All he heard was no. He ended with, "We'll talk when you're being rational." I hung up. My heart was pounding. I had done it. I said no. And I felt a scary little piece of freedom. The fallout wasn't shouting. It was guilt. Linda came over crying. How can you do this to us? We're trying to help. David's wife, Melissa, mailed me articles about old people falling down. My grandkids got very busy, too busy to visit. At family things, conversations would stop when I walked in. I was a problem now, a stubborn child. The story changed. I wasn't capable mom anymore. I was the difficult one, the villain. One word rewrote my whole life. But in the quiet of being the villain, I found a new life. I signed up for a watercolor class. I bought a book about a painter Robert hated. I sometimes eat dinner at 4 in the afternoon just because I want to. I let my roses grow wild. The quiet in the house stopped feeling empty. It started feeling like my own space. I made a friend, Agnes, down the street. We play cards and complain about our arthritis. I live for myself now. It's small and quiet and mine. The big confrontation came to my door. David and Linda together. They had spreadsheets and brochures. I listened. Then I said, my answer is still no. David finally lost his temper. Why are you so selfish? This isn't just about you, the inheritance, the logistics. You're making a mess for us. There it was, the real reason. I was being inconvenient. I looked at their upset faces. I felt sad, but I didn't feel guilty. This is my home, I said, and my voice was steady. My life. I am not a problem for you to solve. I am your mother, and I am saying no. They left. That was 2 years ago. Now things are polite. They call on birthdays. Holidays are stiff. The villain title stuck. They think I chose a house over them, but I chose myself over a part I played for 60 years. I miss the easy love sometimes, but I don't miss the woman who only said yes. I'm 91. I have more days behind me than ahead. I want to spend what's left in my own chair, with my own thoughts, looking at my wild roses. The price was high, but this peace, this owning of my own final years, it is worth every bit of their disapproval. So this is my confession. I confess to choosing myself. I confess to valuing my own peace over their convenience. And you know what? I don't regret it. But I should tell you about the day I truly became the villain in their eyes. It wasn't the first no. It was the second one. About a month after the big doorstep argument, Linda came over alone. She brought soup. She was trying the soft approach. We sat at my kitchen table, the one Robert built. She stirred her spoon and said, Mom, even if you won't move, we need to talk about safety. We want to install some cameras, just little ones, so we can check on you. She made it sound so reasonable. A camera in the living room, one in the hall. For your own good, she said again. I looked at her, my little girl, and I saw she wasn't seeing me. She was seeing a liability, a risk. I imagined my own children watching me on a screen, watching me read or nap or just stare out the window. It made my skin feel cold. That little spark in me got hotter. No, I said, no cameras. Her face fell. Why not? It would give us such peace of mind. It would take away mine, I said. This is my private space, Linda, my home. I am not a show for you to watch. She put her spoon down. It clinked too loud. So you're saying you don't care if we worry? You don't care if something happens and we don't know? That hurt. I care, I said, but I call you every Sunday. Agnes checks on me. I have the emergency button. That is enough. I am not a child in a playpen. She stood up. The chair scraped. Fine. Have it your way. Be alone. She left the soup on the table. She didn't hug me goodbye. That was the moment, I think, when she decided I was beyond reason, a lost cause, the villain who liked being alone. After that, the silence got thicker. The phone calls dropped to once a week, just duty calls. David would ask about the weather, about the house, never about my painting class, never about my new friend Agnes. I started to feel like a ghost in their lives, a stubborn ghost they had to manage from a distance. Then, last fall, I fell in the garden. I was pruning those wild roses and my foot slipped on a wet leaf. I went down. It wasn't bad. I bruised my hip and my pride hurt more. But I was okay. I managed to get inside. I didn't press the emergency button. I called Agnes. She came over, made tea, fussed over me. We didn't tell my children, but someone must have seen. A neighbor. Word got back to David. He showed up 2 days later, his face like thunder. Why didn't you call us? He demanded. We had to hear it from Mrs. Gable down the street. I was fine, I said. Agnes helped. Agnes isn't family, he shouted. It was the first time he'd really yelled. This is exactly what we were afraid of. You're hiding things from us now? What next? I felt tired, so tired. I am not hiding. I am living. I fell. I got up. It happens. He ran a hand through his hair. Don't you see? This proves you can't be here alone. You need to be somewhere safe, where people are paid to watch you. That word again, watch. David, I said, my voice quiet. I am safe. I am here, and I am staying. He looked at me for a long time. His anger faded, and he just looked sad and disappointed. I don't know you anymore, Mom. He said it so softly. Then he left. That was the worst thing he could have said, because he was right. He didn't know me. He never had. He only knew the yes woman, the engine, and I had turned that engine off for good. He never had. He only knew the yes woman, the engine, and I had turned that engine off for good. You see, that's when the loneliness really set in. Not the quiet, peaceful kind I'd started to enjoy. This was a deep, cold kind. The kind that comes from knowing your own children look at you and see a stranger. a problem. Christmas came. They invited me to Linda's house. I went. I brought my famous pecan pie, the one Robert always loved. The house was full of noise, my grandchildren laughing, the TV on, but I felt like a piece of furniture, a difficult piece they had to work around. David gave me a gift. It was one of those medical alert systems, a new, fancy one. Just in case, he said, not meeting my eyes. I said, thank you. I opened it. I held the little pendant in my hand. It felt heavy. It felt like a label, fragile, handled with care, likely to break. Later, I was in the kitchen putting dishes away. Linda and Melissa were at the table talking low. They didn't know I could hear. Linda said, I just don't know what to do with her anymore. She's so stubborn. Melissa sighed. I know. It's like she doesn't care how much we worry. David's a wreck. I stood there, a plate in my hand. I didn't move. I heard my daughter say, it's like we've lost her already. That broke me. Right there in my daughter's kitchen, holding a Christmas plate, it broke me. I put the plate down very carefully. I went to the guest room and got my coat. I told them I was tired, that I was going home. Linda looked relieved. She didn't argue. She just said, drive safe, Mom. I drove home in the dark, and I cried. I cried for Robert. I cried for the children I raised who didn't know me. I cried for all those years of yes. I sat in my car in my own driveway for a long time. I asked myself, was it worth it? This peace I found, this ownership? Had I traded my family for a house and some wild roses? That was my hardest moment. Sitting in the dark, completely alone, wondering if I had made the biggest mistake of my life. I had wanted to be a person, not just a mother. But the cost of becoming a person was that I wasn't their mother anymore, not in the way they wanted. I was the villain in their story. And in that moment, I believed them. And in that moment, I believed them. I went inside that night and I sat in my chair, the one with the good light, and I stared at the dark window. I saw my own reflection, an old woman, alone. I thought that was the end of the story. The villain defeated by her own choice. But morning came, as it always does. The sun hit the wild roses outside the window, and Agnes called to see if I wanted to go to the library. And I realized something. The story wasn't over. It was just beginning, a different kind of story. Here's what I learned sitting in that quiet. I was wrong about what love required. For so long I thought love meant disappearing. Saying yes was how I showed it. But that wasn't love. That was erasure. Love should leave room for the person you are. Robert, bless him, he tried to make room. He'd ask what I wanted, but I was so practiced at being no one, I couldn't even answer him. I failed him there. I failed myself. What love really required from the very start was for me to say, I want to learn the piano, or I don't want to host Thanksgiving this year, or I need an hour alone. It required me to be a person, not just a function. And I was wrong about my children, too. I raised them on my yeses. I taught them that my purpose was to serve theirs. So can I really blame them for believing the lesson I spent 40 years teaching? When I finally said no, it wasn't just a refusal. To them, it was a betrayal of the world I had built. I changed the rules at the very end of the game. The mess we're in now, this cold peace, that's partly my fault. I should have started saying small no's when David was 10 and Linda was 7. No, I can't bake cookies tonight. I'm reading my book. No, I won't chaperone that trip. I have a class. If I had done that, they would have grown up knowing Jay, not just Mom. They would have known a woman with edges and wants, and they wouldn't be so shocked to meet her now. So my advice, if you're listening and you're my age or getting there, is this. Don't perform your life for your family. Just be there. Be present as yourself. If you've spent a lifetime like I did, it's not too late to start. Start small. Today, say no to one tiny thing that you only do out of habit. Say yes to one tiny thing just for you. It will feel strange. They might not like it. Do it anyway. You have to build the muscle of being you, and it's never too late to start that work. And for the children listening, the Davids and Lindas, look at your parents. Really look. See if you're loving the person or just loving the services they provide. Ask them what they want and then listen. Really listen, even if the answer surprises you, especially if it surprises you. There is hope. It's a quiet hope. It's not that my children will suddenly understand and we'll have some movie-perfect reconciliation. The hope is in the life I have right now. It's in the watercolor painting hanging crooked on my wall. It's in the laughter with Agnes over a bad gin rummy hand. It's in the silence that belongs to me. I have fewer days now, that's true, but the ones I have are real. They are mine. I am not waiting anymore. I am living, and that is a victory, even if it's a lonely one. If this story has meant something to you, if you've ever felt like the family engine or you're staring down a no that feels too big to say, I'd like to ask you for a few things. First, if you're on this channel, please consider subscribing. It lets me know I'm not just talking into the void, that these words are finding someone who needs to hear them. Turn on those notifications too.